right. Hello and welcome, everybody. So today we are going to be hearing from Pavan, and he's going to be covering a data management layer for Neo4j. So I'll hand this over to you, Pavan.
Hey, everyone. Thank you for attending the presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat. At the end of the session, I will try to answer your questions. And if possible, I'll try to answer it if in case we get done quickly. Okay. So a bit about me and about us. I'm a part of Suketa Tech and Product Solutions Private Limited. We are based out of Bengaluru, India, and we have a flagship product called Anansi. Hey, what's this Anansi? Anansi is an easy to use visual data lineage and data management tool. So it's mainly a data lineage tool, which makes it easy to visually track the lineage of any data or item or transaction. And it's a domain agnostic product. Okay. So why did we build this tool? Why can't I just go ahead and use Cypher? Yes, I can use Cypher, but we wanted a way where I could find out data about data, metadata. Like, so what's metadata? What data do we have? Who owns the data? What are its attributes? And we also wanted data lineage in an easy manner. Where is it coming from? Where is it going? What are the upstream and downstream dependencies? What are the transformations happening? And we also wanted to show data catalog and audit. Like, we wanted to see our data not just in graphical format, but in a as a tabular format. We wanted to easily be able to filter the data, track the changes in the data, etc., etc., etc. Okay. Why did we choose Neo4j in the first place? Because it's a graph database, and what better to implement data lineage than a graph database? Neo4j has a free and community edition, and that's great for us. And has SDKs available for the most popular programming languages. Our backend is written in .NET, front end is in React. So I guess that's self-explanatory. And it can also be used as a vector store, which was one of our requirements. Now, like the question I answered initially, what are the challenges of using Neo4j? Why did we have to build this entire system on top of Neo4j? First thing, you need to know Cypher. Like, a business user can't start using Neo4j. And it's hard to navigate like complex graphs in the Bloom browser. And it's very hard just looking at the Bloom browser to answer questions like, when was this graph last updated, who updated it, and all that good stuff. Okay, so here's a high-level view of our solution. So you organize your metadata in a consistent way. Like, you can't just put anything into our tool. Like, you have to organize it in a tabular format. Like, I'll show that to you in a minute. And we want to visualize that structured data that we imported, visualize your data and its relationships. And how do we manage your metadata? And this is the organize, visualize, and manage. And this is the high-level view of our solution. Okay. So I just want to, I'll go to the demo in a minute, but I want to show the categories of data visualization that we support. One is data lineage. What is a lineage? Just imagine there's a person, and he has a parent, grandparent, great-grandparents, and the same person has a child, a grandchild, and a great-grandchild. Together, the upstream and downstream form a data lineage. Like, for a person, the data lineage is his grandparents and his descendants. There's another category of visualization that you can visualize a graph that is at the high level. Let's say you have a bank, and a bank is, this is just an example that we came up with. At the lower level of a bank, there are 4 departments: investment, retail, treasury, and custody. Underneath treasury, there are many services and databases. And each database has tables. How do you visualize this hierarchical structure? So let's see in our demo. Let me stop sharing and uh, share my tool, and let's go. So here's what our tool looks like, our data management tool. And let me go into this compliance graph. So I want to go into the hierarchical visualization first. So let's imagine at the top level, there's a bank. Let's go to the next level. And it's divided into 4 departments: custody, treasury, retail, and investment. And let's go under treasury and see what we have. Treasury has a lot of systems and tables and databases. So I can keep going going underneath more and more and more. If you see, hey, this is a database schema, and let's look at customer, see if there's any Unix level, and these are the elements, customer ID and stuff like that. Let's see what's in customer ID. Oh, we've reached the bottom. If you see, I came from a high-level graph to I selected one department, I went to a demo test, I went to a customer ID. So I can keep going any number of levels that I want. Now, let me demo a bit about the lineage. So for example, I have a customer table per se. I want to check what this customer, who writes to this customer table, how is it being used and stuff like that. All I have to do is right click and I have to say system lineage, and boom, this is what I get. So there's a system called CRM service update. There's another system called CRM service create, and both of them write to the customer table. And I can do the lineage from whichever part of the graph. For example, I can say, hey, give me there's the CRM service create. Give me just the lineage of the CRM service create. Let's see what it gives me. So gives me this huge graph saying that, hey, it writes to all these tables, elements, and stuff. So this is about lineage. Now let me go back to the presentation. Okay. Next, how did we organize data? How did you look at all this? How are you able to look at all that stuff on the graph? So in a Neo4j, how is the data stored? In any database, especially in a graph database, we store entities, and we store the data as entities. So in a graph database in Neo4j, we store it as, hey, entity 1 is related to entity 2. So we store 2 kinds of elements. One is an entity and relationship between the entities. That's what a graph database. So what does our data management layer do on top of this? We have our data management enforces something called type safety. And in Neo4j database, it's optionally type safe. So for example, what is type safety? First, let's understand what's an entity. An entity can be anything. It can be a system, it can be a process, it can be a script, dog, cat, you get the drift. And every entity has attributes. It can have an identifier, it can have a name, it can have a description. Now an identifier, if you define it in Neo4j as a string, you can change it to a integer later. But using our data management tool, once you set it as an identifier, it will be an identifier no matter. Okay. Now, here's a concept that's not there in Neo4j as far as I know. We introduced something in our management layer called type-safe relationships. What are relationships? An example relationship is, let's say there are two people, Peter and Paul. Peter is a friend of Paul. Okay. So I define a relationship called friend of. Now, let's say I create a relationship called Peter is installed in Paul, which doesn't make sense. So using my data management layer, I can say, hey, you know what? Is a friend of is the right relationship between two entities of person, but is installed in is not the right relationship. I can describe that in my tool. Okay, let's go to the demo of the tool. So how do I we have an administrative interface. And by the way, everything that you see on the screen, even though it's in tabular format, is stored in Neo4j. All we are doing is we are showing it to you in a tabular format. The view is different, that's all. But this, whatever you're seeing is data coming from Neo4j. So, for example, the stuff that you saw is I have an entity called bank1, and whatever you saw is something like this, a system description, and let me actually show you the actual data that you just saw right now. This is how the data that of the previous graph that you look like, actually raw data actually looks like. So so how do I go from here to a graph? All I need to do is say create graph. And this is what comes up, bank. And I can go here, and this is what comes up. All right, and we can do a lot of fun stuff like filtering and things like that. So for example, I can go into database column names, and I can just say, hey, which of these database columns have PII? So this is what, let's go back quickly to the presentation. Then so we can also manage data here. So we have an entity management system. You can assign an owner to an entity, and you can also figure out what entities are owned by a particular person. Let me quickly go for the demo. So I can actually go here and I can say view details of this node. Who owns this node? Let's see if any owners come up. No one owns this node. I can actually add people. Say, hey, all these people own this node. So I can say, hey, Dick or Suraj or Bob own this node. So these are the kind of cool stuff that you can do. So here's, I just wanted to also show you the overall architecture of how we implemented this. The front end was built in Next.js. We have SDKs in multiple languages. We have a REST API, which you can hit our backend in, which is in .NET Core, by the way. And of course, our data store is Neo4j. And definitely want to ask you guys for any questions. Let me stop sharing. And so would love to answer any questions. In case you don't have any questions, please feel free to give me the questions. Like put your questions online or send it to me, and would love. Okay, this is what I. Yeah, thank you. Right. No worries. But if you have anything, please let me know. You can always contact me. Pretty sure there's a contact email or something like that. So from where to start, I want to make my career. Okay. So. So thank you so much for attending the session, and thank you.